Hello everyone, my name is Yash Mohite and today we will exploring the network address translation known as NAT and its working principle and real life use cases. NAT is a fundamental networking concept that plays crucial role in IP address management, security and internet connectivity. Every time we browse the internet, streaming a video or playing online game, the NAT is working behind the scenes. So let's deep dive into NAT and why it is essential. So let's go to slide 2. So before we go deeper, let's define NAT. Network Address Translation (NAT) is a technique used in a routers and firewalls to translate private IP addresses into a public IP addresses. This allows multiple devices in a private network to share a single public IP. So think a NAT as a postal sorting office. Your home network is like a neighborhood where each house has its own address. We can refer it to private IP. The postal office as NAT router and assigns a temporary address when sending a letter. The receiver only sees the post office address. We can refer it as a public IP, not an individual house address. So by this example, we can relate a NAT. So why do we need NAT? Now, why do we need NAT? IPv4 address shortage first. There are only 4.3 billion IPv4 addresses, but we have over 15 billion devices connected to internet. NAT helps conserve IPs by letting multiple devices share one public IP. Second, security. NAT hides private IP addresses from external networks, reducing a security risk. Third, cost effectiveness. ISP means internet service providers and organizations don't need to buy multiple public IPs for every devices. Let's take an example of our college. So imagine our college campus which has thousands of students using Wi-Fi. Instead of using a public IP to each device, NAT allows all devices to connect using a simple public IP address while keeping their external IPs private. So over to next slide. Importance of NAT in IPv4 exhaustion. So back in 1980s, nobody predict we have smartphones, IoT devices, and cloud computing. IPv4 addresses space was designed for a smaller internet. Let's take an example, real life example. Think IPv4 license plate in a country. If each car require a unique license plate, we can refer it as to public IP, we will run out of plates. Instead of NAT allows multiple cars in a company fleet called as a private network to share a single registration plate while internally using a different IDs. Over to next slide. Okay, NAT for security. So NAT also acts as a basic security layer. It hides a private IPs by making it harder for a hacker to direct attack internal devices. Many firewall integrated NAT to block unsolicited incoming traffic. Some companies use NAT in combination with proxy server for additional security layer. So let's go to slide 6. Types of NAT. There are several types of NAT, but we are only seeing the few of them. So static NAT. Static NAT maps a single private IP address to a single public IP address. So let's see it's working. A device inside the private network is permanently assigned a fixed public IP address. The mapping does not change, the remains constant. It uses in web servers, remote access servers. Company uses a static NAT for VPN server so employees can securely connect from outside. So let's take an example of a company. Imagine a company web server running on some IP, private IP. With a static net, it permanently mapped to public IP. When someone enters a public IP in a browser, the net forwards the request to a private IP. So pros of the static net is ensures a consistent public IP for servers, useful for hosting applications like websites or VPNs. So there are several cons also. So talking about the cons, it requires one public IP per device, which is very expensive. Doesn't help with IPv4 address conservation. So let's go to another. So let's take a second type as dynamic net. So dynamic net assigns a private IP to pool of public IP dynamically. So let's see how it's work. Instead of fixed mapping, private IPs are assigned a public IP from a pool on first come first served basis. When a device sends an internet request, it temporarily gets a public IP from available pool. So it is mainly used in business networks, companies with limited public IPs but multiple internal users, enterprises with fluctuating traffics. Dynamic net adjusts as a device connect and disconnected. So there are some pros and cons of dynamic net. So let's firstly see, we can see pros. The more efficient than a static net, helps businesses manage limited public IPs. And con, each private IP does not have fixed public IP, which can cause issue with some services. Second con is if no public IPs are available, new connection are blocked. So let's deep dive into third type of NAT is called PAT, port address translation. NAT we can also call is some in some textbooks it also refer is NAT overload, many to one mapping. PAT allows multiple private IPs to share a single public IP using different port numbers. So let's see it's working. Instead of assigning a public IP to each device, PAT assigns one public IP to all devices and differentiates them using port number. This is most common type of NAT used in home network and ISPs. It's mainly used in home Wi-Fi routers, small businesses and mobile networks. Let's see pros of PAT. Most efficient type of a NAT, greatly reduces the public IP uses, works well for home and corporate networks. And there are also several cons. Some applications like gaming, VoIPs, VPNs does not work well with PAT. Port conflict may occur if too many users try to connect once. Let's go to next slide. Complexity, drawbacks of NAT. Although NAT is useful, it has some drawbacks, as we have discussed in previous slide. Break end-to-end first first drawback, breaks end-to-end connectivity. Some application like peer-to-peer networks does not work well with NAT. Second, increased complexity. Debugging network issue is harder when IPs are translated. Third, delay in real-time application. NAT processing adds latency which can affect gaming or VoIP calls. We can take an example. Let's take an example of an online multiplayer game. Often faces a connection issue due to NAT. Gamers may see NAT type strict when which prevents them from hosting game lobbies or connecting easily. So let's go to next slide. Drawbacks of NAT compared to IPv4. So let's conclude our topic here. So in conclusion, to summarize, NAT is essential because it conserves IPv4 address by enabling multiple devices to share one public IP. Second, enhances security by hiding internal networks. Third, enable ISP and businesses to manage network efficiently. Without NAT, the internet as we know it would be impossible. However, IPv4 IPv6 adoption grows, NAT will gradually phase out. But until it remains core networking technology that every IT professional should understand. So that's my time. Thank you.